and today we're going to be talking about tone and mood in poetry. So the first thing we're going to look at is our objective. Our objective is that you will be able to define and analyze tone and mood within poetry. There's three standards that we're going to be covering. It's standards RL 8.1, RL 8.2, RL 8.4. So those are the three standards we're covering. You don't have to write any of this down though. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is tone, and tone is the writer's attitude towards the subject of the piece, the audience, and self. This is also known as the way that feelings are expressed within a piece. So this can include, or the way that it's conveyed is through diction, the words that the author uses in his or her writing, the point of view, which is the author's view and how it affects his writing, and their syntax, the arrangement of words to create sentences, as well as finally their level of formality. So the next thing we're going to look at is just a couple words that are a way that you convey tone. So as you can tell, these aren't actual moods, which is why mood and tone are different. Accusatory means charging of wrongdoing. Bitter is exhibiting a strong animosity as a result of pain or grief. Optimistic means hopeful or cheerful, and sarcastic is sneering or caustic. So as you can see, these describe a tone that an author would take towards the subject. It doesn't describe the mood that the writing causes a reader to have. So here are some examples of tone. The first one says, "I'd rather stay here and wait than go into that dark room." So reading it, you can tell that the author or the person writing it is scared. It doesn't have to say, "I'm scared, I'd rather stay here and wait." You can just tell from the way that the words are written and just the general sentence that the author is scared. The next one is, "The sun is shining brightly in the meadow. Let's go out and play." This one expresses that the author is happy or excited about the fact that the sun is shining. They could live in like Oregon or Washington where it's typically raining, so they're excited that it's sunny outside. So you don't have to, again, it doesn't need to be directly stated for that to be the tone. Typically it's more in the way that the words are said versus directly saying, "I'm excited." The third one is, "I called my friend at their house. Her brother said she's not home, but I heard her voice over the line." So this one is a suspicious tone because you can hear the person in the background, so it automatically makes you think, oh, are they avoiding me? Are they doing something else? Are they gonna flake on our plans or something like that? So tone is extremely powerful, and it can change the meaning of words, phrases, or sentences in an entire work, either a poem, a story, an essay, anything like that. So this is an activity, but I'm just going to give you guys a few examples. So the way you say "I'm fine," like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine," or "Yeah, I'm fine," like depending on the way you say it, it changes the tone completely. And then, "Oh, where is he?" or "Where is he?" That changes the tone a lot. So you can tell the difference just in the way it's said, but when you're reading it, it's a little more difficult. You have to kind of think about it a little bit in order to figure out the tone that the author is trying to convey. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is mood. This one is an emotion that's evoked by a text. So it's the emotion that the reader gets from reading the text, either a poem or a story again. So the devices that are used to create mood are dialogue, or the language and conversations between characters, the setting, where and when the story takes place and who the characters are, and then plot, which is the rise and fall of actions and events in a story or poem or anything like that. So these are some mood words, and obviously these are a little bit different from the tone words. These are ways that you feel. So suspense or suspenseful, lonely, happy, angry, anxious. These are ways that reading a text or reading a poem will make the reader feel, and the emotions that they convey in the reader. So these are some examples of mood. The night was dark and stormy. So this gives you kind of a scary mood, or it makes you feel scared. And instantly, if you hear kind of ominous music or something like that, you get that scary feeling in you. The man kicked and threw the poor cat out of his house. This sentence gives you a feeling of anger towards the man and a feeling of pity towards the cat. So if you saw someone kick a cat out of their house, you would obviously be really mad that they did that, but then you would also want to make sure that that cat was okay. So that's how it can convey two different types of mood. And then there was plenty of food, the music was playing, and everybody was having a good time. So this one conveys a feeling of happiness or fun and excitement, and you can tell that there's like a party going on or something along those lines that is exciting and lively, and that's why it conveys these two moods right here. So mood and tone are very similar, and so I created this Venn diagram for you to kind of tell the differences. Don't try to copy it down right now, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. But as you can see, this is all the things that are separate from mood and tone, but they also have a lot in common. So let's look at tone really quickly. Tone is the attitude that an author takes toward the audience, or the subject, or a specific character. So you may be reading a piece of work and you can tell that the author hates this character. Tone is also conveyed through the words and details that the author gives a reader through their language. It uses context clues you use context clues to help determine the tone, and then the author sets the tone again through his words or his word choice. Now looking at mood, the mood is the emotions that you, the reader, feel while you are reading a piece. Some pieces make you feel sad, happy, angry, or any combination of the above. And then often the writer creates the mood at the beginning of a piece, and that is carried throughout the entire piece. Sometimes it can change up a little bit in Oh Captain, My Captain, it started off a little sad or really happy, but then it got sad as it talked about the death of the captain. And then the similarities are they're all conveyed by an emotion or emotions through words. So you're either learning about the emotions of the author or the way that they feel about a piece of work, or it's making you feel something. And then the way that a reader feels about a piece can be determined through their facial expressions while they're reading it, gestures, and the tone, and in the tone of voice that's used. So if they're explaining a piece of work, you can tell how the reader feels about it based on their tone of voice. So again, I did mention that mood and tone are extremely similar, so you need to be aware that you don't get them confused. So tone refers to how the author feels about the subject. That's purely in the work. It's entirely like conveyed in the work. It's not anywhere exterior. And you'll know what the tone is by the words that he uses. So you can pick out specific words. If he's using very negative language, you can tell that he kind of has a negative tone towards the piece. But if he's using very positive and happy language, you can tell that it's very joyful or happy piece, or that he likes the subject. The mood refers to the feeling of the atmosphere that the author is describing and how it makes the reader feel. So It's what the author makes you feel when you read the work. So a lot of times you may read something and it'll make you feel really happy or make you feel really calm. And you can read a sentence and you can feel sad, happy, or angry.
That's my last Duchess painted on the wall, looking as if she were alive, I call. That piece a wonder now, Fra Pandolf's hands worked busily a day, and there she stands. Wilt please you sit and look at her, I said. Fra Pandolf by design for never read. Strangers like you that pictured continents, the depth and passion of its earnest glance. But to myself they turned, since none puts by the curtain I have drawn for you but I, and seemed as they would ask me if they durst, how such a glance came there, so not the first. Are you to turn and ask the sir? 'Twas not. Her husband's presence only called the spot. Of joy in the Duchess' cheek, perhaps, Fra Pandolf's chance to say her mantle laps. Over my lady's wrist too much, or paint, must never hope to reproduce the faint half blush that dies along her throat. Such stuff was courtesy, she thought, and cause enough. For calling up that spot of joy, she had a heart, how shall I say, too soon made glad, too easily impressed. She'd like whatever. She looked on, and her looks went everywhere. Sir, 'twas all one, my favor at her breast, the drooping of the daylight in the dropping of the daylight in the west. The bow of cherries, some officious fool broke in the orchard for her, the white mule. She rode with the round, the terrace, all and each would draw from her alike the approving speech. Or blush, at least she thanked men good, but thanked. Somehow I know not how she ranked. My gift of 900 years old name, with anybody's gift, would stoop to blame. This sort of trifling, even had you skill in speech which I have not, to make your will quite clear to such a one, and say just this, or that in you disgusts me, miss, or there exceeds the mark, and if she let herself be lessoned so, nor plainly set, her wits of yours forsooth and made excuse, even when then would be some stooping, and I choose never to stoop. Oh, sir, she smiled, no doubt, whenever I passed her, but who passed without? Much the same smile this grew, I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together, there she stands. As if alive, will please you rise, will meet the company below, then, I repeat, the count on your master-known manifest is ample warrant that no such pretense of mine for dowry will be disallowed. Thou his fair daughter self, as I avowed. At starting is my object, nay, will go together down, sir, notice Neptune, though, taming a seahorse, though a rarity, which Claus of Innsbruck cast in bronze for me.
What is the subject of Browning's My Last Duchess? A. The Duchess, B. Fra Pandolf, C. Herrera, or D. The Duke? The correct answer was A. The Duchess. What is the overall speaker's attitude or tone towards the Duchess? A. Love and admiration, B. Joyful and pleasant, C. Critical and resentful, or D. Remorseful and distaste? The correct answer was C. What evidence best supports the tone? A. Lines 1 and 2, B. Lines 5 and 6, C. Lines 17 and 18, or D. Lines 23 and 24? The correct answer was D.